Commodities, markets, and rural development. If we talk about commodities produced in rural areas, we should first of all think about agricultural goods, because agricultural goods are the mostly important and have the biggest part of all goods produced in rural areas. We could certainly think about goods produced within mining, within fisheries and forestry, but anyway, goods produced using agricultural lands like plants production, vegetables and fruits, animals production like milk and meat and wool and so on, they certainly occupy the biggest part of goods produced within the rural area. So, and definitely that people living in the rural area, they are involved in production of these goods, and therefore income received from agricultural production has an impact on the rural poverty, rural incomes, therefore on rural poverty, social problems, and as well on environmental damage. So therefore, in order to keep people living in rural areas on their places, so not to force them to leave and to move to the cities, and therefore to keep rural areas, to keep them the rural areas of the countries, to keep them developed, the government should be actually interested in incomes from small and middle agricultural producers, because actually these people are the inhabitants of rural areas who need to feel good there in order to stay there, right? So the government of the countries, the national government, should be interested. This is in their interest. However, we know that almost in all countries, small and middle agricultural producers are struggling. They are struggling from rare financial resources. They are struggling from underdeveloped infrastructure. They are struggling actually from less attention from the side of the policies, which you could not, by the way, say about the Soviet Union, because in Soviet Union the rural areas were extremely developed, as developed as they have never been before developed, right? But with the pushed industrialization, people have started to leave rural areas and to move to the cities. However, right now what we have, not only in Russia but also in majority of countries, and especially in developing countries, in transitional countries, and problems we have also in developed countries, problems with rural area, maybe is not as big as in developing and transitional countries, but still they exist. So, and we know that small and middle agricultural producers in rural area are struggling because they are underdeveloped as producers. They have less technologies, they have less technical equipment, so they are not as productive as, for example, large agricultural enterprises. Second problem which they have, this is the poor market access. So even if they produce agricultural production, they have problems to sell it, to realize it on the market. So as a result, what we have low incomes of small and middle producers. The question is, why does it happen? and why government does not help them to develop in order to reduce the rural poverty and to force the rural development. Actually, the government should be interested in development of small and middle agricultural producers, but however, we have this problem that they are underdeveloped. And the answer to this question is that each market is a difficult construction. An agricultural market is also a certain, so to say, phenomenon. Let's say phenomenon. No? And each market has its own life. So if we talk about markets, it's very, very big, huge topic, but I can not tell you right now the market theory, explaining the whole market theory. But one thing that I would like to say, and that I have to say here, is that each market has such a phenomenon like market power. This means that those producers who have more power on the market, they acquire a position to sell their goods. And if we talk about agricultural markets, they are also they have also this phenomenon of market power, and the market power on agricultural markets have large agricultural enterprises because they have more money, and while they have market power, they're able to damp the market price for agricultural goods, so to lower the price, so to say, and to lower it, to make it lower than it is profitable to produce and to sell goods by the middle and small agricultural producers. So, and if the price is damped, pushed down, it is not anymore profitable for small and middle agricultural producers to produce and to sell, because then they will sell goods with how do you call that, with lost of income, not with positive but with negative income, with lost income, and this is not profitable, so they just keep their production out, so they quit their production, they do not produce and do not sell, and this market area which they could have acquired, it is delivered to the big enterprises, and the big enterprises, according to the returns, due to the returns of scale, they can make such, tricks. They can, for a certain small time period, dump the prices, make them low, and then when this area of small and middle agricultural producers, this area is available, then they will not only increase the price to the market level, but they can even increase the price higher than the market level and get monopoly or oligopoly profits. So the profits which are higher even than the profits from the normal market price. So what the agricultural enterprises, let's call them agri holdings, what could they do else? They can occupy the shelves of the city supermarkets due to the volumes of their production, because huge agricultural enterprises, they produce large volumes of goods, so that the small and middle agricultural producers are not able to do because they are small and middle. So, if they occupy the shelves of the city supermarkets, they actually occupy the market volume. So, and they occupy consumers market, and small and middle producers cannot sell their goods because market volume is full. What they else do is that they lobby the business in government. So they lobby subsidies for their big enterprises, and the state subsidies that they get as a lobby, they use for example, increase their production, decrease their costs, uh, and in the end, dumping the prices. Why could they do so? Because they have resources to do this. They have resources to buy employees who will work for the government and who will enforce their policy measures in the government which are in favor of large agricultural producers. So, in comparison with large agricultural enterprises, small and middle agricultural producers are weak. They're weak because they're small. They don't have resources, they don't have volumes. However, uh, however, um, they are weak as long as they are not collaborated. So agricultural producers are weak until they are not collaborating. Another word for collaborating is cooperation. Cooperation is quite an famous thing. I think you have heard already about cooperatives. Cooperatives are well known in different spheres of social life, and as well they exist in rural area. In rural area, cooperatives are typically agricultural cooperatives. This topic, agricultural cooperatives, is well known for centuries already, and there are lots of associations working for this topic, lots of scientists making research in this topic. Cooperatives have their own legal base, they have their own state support, and they are actually well known in, one can say, in all countries of the world. Why is it so? Why this cooperation tool is so important and so famous around the world? The answer is simple. Because when small and middle agricultural producers come together and start to work together, start to handle together for certain tools, for certain activities, they at the same time reach the power of common. So they pool their production all together and they handle as a single actor with this production. So they become more power on the market when selling their goods, and as well as when buying their inputs. So agricultural producers come together into cooperatives to get resources and opportunities which are not available for a small single farmer, as well as a result to increase their incomes and to keep their businesses. Let's divide the activity of the farmer into four levels in order to deeply understand the cooperation process and the benefits of the cooperation process. So the lowest level will be then the inputs market. When the farmers cooperate for buying inputs, they can trade for better price, for lower price for inputs first, and second, they can access inputs which would have not been accessible for small producers, small single producers. The second level will be production itself. On this level, farmers do not cooperate, so each of them has his or her own business, agricultural production. One produces this, another produces that, and each of them act in his or her own farm separately and own their farm separately. So the third level will be then processing level, processing of goods, where, for example, vegetables should be washed and packed, where animal production should be split into pieces, so to say, slaughtered and then processed into whatever pieces or sausages and so on. On this level, when they cooperate, they have a possibility to get lower prices for processing of their goods because they have bigger volumes and they can handle on the processors market with their bigger volumes and get a better price for that, so to say. And second, they can handle with better processing companies, with advanced processing companies, because big factories, they are not interested to process goods from small agricultural producers. They're not interested to work with small producers because each of them should be there should be made an agreement with each of them, so it's too long and difficult procedure for each single producer, so the costs are too high. But when many small producers are cooperating then and act as a cooperative, as a single body, so there will be less documents to fulfill. So that was the third level, and the fourth level is the sales of products when they're already processed. So we have washed and packed vegetables, or we have sausages, or we have packed pieces of meat and so on. At this level, the so-called sales of production level is also very profitable to cooperate, because on this level you can handle a better price. You can reach supermarkets, not only small markets, village markets and so on, but big supermarkets which are situated in the middle of the big cities, and they can give you better prices. You can also certify your products, and therefore the certified product costs higher. So again, you can reach a higher price, and you can also achieve other new markets which would be not available for you as a single producer. So agricultural cooperative is a very, very profitable tool, very helpful tool for small and middle farmers. However, it has also some obstacles, some difficulties, which do not make it for cooperatives to be so comfortable and easy. And we will talk about these obstacles and about the profits as well on our further lectures.